Question, real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right.
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor? Are you ready to finally make that dream a reality? Maybe it's updating your kitchen, paying down high-interest credit cards, or covering tuition. Your home is more than where you live. It's also your most powerful asset. At Unlock, we make it simple to turn equity into options. With a home equity agreement, you can access cash today without taking on another monthly payment. Imagine the freedom to invest in your home, reduce financial stress, or finally start that big project you've been putting off. It's your home. It's your future. Unlock it today. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.
What's up, little psychos? I'm Investigator Slater, host of the Psychopedia podcast. Psychopedia is a true crime podcast delivering raw, real, and absolutely gripping episodes every single week. I dig deep to uncover fascinating details of heinous true crime cases while exploring criminology and psychology theories. I take you into the absolute darkest corners of the human psyche, my favorite territory, and present cases like you've never heard them before. Follow and listen to Psychopedia everywhere you get your podcasts.
We were warned, never go past the point. But kids don't listen. That's what you do when you're young, not listen. We should have known better because we weren't really kids by then. We were in high school. Not that high schoolers are known for their maturity. Still, we should have known better because this had happened before. We all thought it was just a coincidence, some weird, horrific coincidence. By the time we knew the truth, it was too late. There were a lot of firsts on the base. The base being the 7x7 wood board that floated about 50 yards from the sand. I had my first kiss on the base. So did 3 of my best friends. A couple other firsts took place on that base. Not for me, but there were stories. Lots of stories. If that base could talk, it wouldn't know when to stop. My first kiss was in the 6th grade. Me and Jimmy Green on the base. I'm sure most small towns have something like this. A place that becomes notorious for kids, where they can go to, how do I say this? Mature, blossom, whatever the word. You know what I mean. For my town, it was the base. You go to the beach with your friends, and then once the tension had built up long enough, a friend of yours would tell a friend of yours that they want to go swim out to the base. Now, I wouldn't say that I saw stars when me and Jimmy Green had that first kiss. It was nice enough, but my mind was elsewhere. It was dark out. Afterwards, he held my hand and asked if I wanted to do it again. I said maybe we should head back. All of my friends were watching from the sand. All of his friends were watching from the sand. The entire day had been building up to this moment. I wish I could have swooned as much as he had, as much as my 3 best friends had. But all I could think about was her. I can't even remember who told me the story first. It was one of those folklore stories that most small towns have. The same way that they all have their versions of a base. They all have their version of a ghost. Except, ours was real. Her name was Yuki. About 20 years ago, she had gone to the base with a boy at night, Dax Morant. Now, the story goes that they had been sweet on each other in secret, because she was an immigrant and he was the high school sports star. So, they met up, alone, at the beach. His version of the truth never changed. He said they swam out to the base, kissed. She smiled and then dove in the water. He dove in after her, but when he rose up to the surface, she didn't. He got back onto the base and screamed her name for so long and loud as he could, but he never saw her again. Dax and Yuki were alone, so there were no witnesses to corroborate his story, but there's no evidence to suggest foul play. He had no scratches, no blood, just a story about a kiss and a girl who disappeared below the surface. Now, the story's been told 100 different ways depending upon who you ask. Dax Morant swears by his version, so much so that he had to move away, start a new life. A part of the legend is that he had nightmares every night after that of her. Her eyes. These pale blue eyes that would glow from under the water, just staring up at him. The story of the extended story goes that his nightmares were always the same. He would reach down from the base to try and help her up, but when she would touch his hand, her body would melt. Now, who knows what's true? Every story is passed down or embellished to try and make it scarier. I'm sure you've got a story like that from when you were a kid. For us, it was Yuki at the base. Something you just believed to be true because it was fun to believe, even if believing gave the power to the horror. To this day, Yuki's body was never found, and her disappearance is a mystery. That was 22 years ago. Nobody saw her again. Until today. My uncle had issues, to say the least. He was a drinker. Bait and Brew was a dive located by the lake. It's the place you go after a long day of fishing. None of the regulars had much else to do in their life besides sitting on their standard stool and drink until the ones became twos. My uncle, Stan, was one of those stools. He used to show up here and there, at a birthday party. But then that faded over time, and gradually just became another extra who I'd see around town. He'd smile with his half-yellow teeth and ask me, how me and my sister were doing. How old was I now? What grade was I in? Simple questions with simple answers that became less simple with each subsequent encounter. So I'm the older sister. Lauren was the little one. At the time she was 11, I was on the cusp of 16 and still awake when Stan showed up on a random Monday night to our house. Stan was past the point of showing up to our house. The last time I can remember him being there, I think it was my 10th birthday, and he didn't stay long. So, for him to show up out of nowhere on a Monday meant something was off. I heard the commotion when I opened the bathroom door. Stan's voice was booming. I could hear my dad imploring him to lower his voice, which he did. But even when he switched the timbre towards hushed, I could still hear every word. I stood over the railing and placed my elbows behind me against the wall, just intrigued by whatever this discussion was revolving around.
Yuki.
I'd heard her name multiple times. My dad was asking him how many beers he drank before coming over. My uncle was stomping around, and I could hear his wet boots sloshing around our kitchen until my dad told him to take them off, and then Stan nearly fell over trying to untie them while standing. At first it was funny. I had to cover my mouth to muffle the giggles. Becky's door opened. She was groggy, one eye closed, and before she could say anything, I put my finger over the middle of my mouth to let her know silence was the top priority right now. Becky followed suit and then stood near me to listen in. She heard the name, too.
Yuki! I saw her! I'm telling you, it was her!
There was no hushed voice when he said the word her. My dad had had enough and told him to go sleep it off in the living room. My uncle was mad. Mad that my dad wasn't believing him. mad at a world that seemed to have driven by him. Maybe that's why he never came by anymore. When he was in our house, he saw a life that eluded him. The family, the wife, the house. If my mom was home, she would have thrown him out before he could even take off his boots. My mom never liked my uncle. She thought he was a loser. Who could argue? My uncle lived above a bowling alley in a tiny studio apartment that he only got because he worked at the bowling alley. He was drinking his life away. That's the Cliff Notes version of Stan's life. Now, I felt bad for him. I remember Stan being a fun uncle when I was little. He used to lift me up onto his shoulders and then dance around in circles while singing some loud song. Stan was a tall guy, so when you're a little kid on his shoulders, you feel like a whole new world was visible. He taught me how to whistle. He taught me how to throw a curveball, how to eat spaghetti. Cornerstones of a young girl's life. That was so long ago. I wonder if that version of Stan will exist in my heart forever, or if it will dissolve at some point. Becky never had that. She didn't know her uncle. The last time we all saw him in town, I had to explain who he was. She responded by finishing her ice cream in one tiny ear and out the other. I couldn't sleep. The lore circling around Yuki was such a fun story, and it had been long enough that tragic had merged into funny. People seem to forget that it started because a woman had most likely died. Some say she vanished to start a new life, because she'd been living this repressed existence under the forceful hands of a father who rarely let her leave the house. Dax had met her because she worked as a cashier in her father's store that sold rugs. Little was known about her, other than this hypnotic beauty that took Dax under her spell. How else to explain how the high school sports star had fallen for the immigrant girl who rarely was seen during the day? So, here I am, staring up at the ceiling, unable to sleep, because I cannot wait to tell my friends what I heard.
Question: real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right.
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor?
On the Powers That Be podcast, we examine the players and currents behind today's most consequential decisions. Join us. Listen to the Powers That Be wherever you get your podcasts.
$10 for a large plain pie at Old Glenville Pizza. Only on Saturdays. Me and my 3 best friends would take advantage of this deal almost religiously. Old Glenville Pizza was equidistant for all of us, so it became the perfect spot for all of us to meet and enjoy the wonders of the weekend. Today, I was coming loaded with gossip. Part of me was hesitant. My uncle was known around town as one of those guys who is basically just getting by. I felt bad demeaning whatever semblance of pride he still had by telling them what happened last night. But the story was too good. When you're 15 and can smell 16, you're bursting with energy. So close, yet so far from being able to explore anything and everything. I had to. My uncle saw Yuki. They all paused mid-bite. Told them what I could, which wasn't much, since I wasn't in the room. But it was enough to get them excited. The prospect that my uncle had seen Yuki while he was fishing. There used to be, quote, sightings of Yuki, but that was before I was born. There was a decent chance whoever spotted her back then was a standard stool at Bait and Brew.
We have to go.
I couldn't even tell you who said it first. All 3 of them said it at the same time. Our plan prior to my bombshell of gossip was to see a movie. There was a new one that came out last night called Interview with the Vampire that seemed real good. Good, but in a probably bad way. But it had Brad, and that's enough for us. It was rated R, but that wouldn't matter. One of the kids who worked there was Lenny. He would let us sneak into whatever movie we wanted. Our taste for horror movies had been escalating lately. This is a part of what made the Yuki story so captivating. It was on. We were going to the lake. Should we invite the boys? The boys. There were a group of 6 or 7 boys from our grade who provided us with consistent entertainment and potential romance. The potential romance part involved at least one of them and at least one of us being sweet on the other, at all times. There was never not at least potential romantic pairing amongst our web. At this specific moment in time, it was between me and Jimmy Green. Yes, first kiss, Jimmy Green. Our first kiss, which also meant we had been our first boyfriend and girlfriend. The relationship had not lasted very long, about 2 weeks, if I remember correctly. But in middle school time, that means 2 years. We remained in similar friend circles, and now high school had brought us back together when mutual friends on both sides had hooked up, and now we were back. My friends loved the idea of us getting back together, getting married, having kids. Middle school sweethearts? What's sweeter than that? Ultimately, we agreed to invite the boys. The oldest of the boys was Jeff Panera. He had a car. Which meant we had means of transportation. It would involve multiple girls sitting on multiple laps of multiple boys, which only elevated the entire event. Things were getting a little steamy, at least in the eyes of high school sophomores. The plan was to rent a couple canoes and then head on out past the point. For out-of-towners who don't know, was the red buoy past the base. None of us ever swam past the point, except for Jeff Panera. Jeff was a bad boy, beyond the car, even though the car was a big part of the bad boy. All of us had a crush on Jeff. He had an effortless cool. He smoked, which meant that we would smoke too anytime we were around him. Occasionally one of us would call dibs on a boy. Dibs was written into the Constitution. If you called dibs, he was yours. Jeff Panera? Everyone had dibs on Jeff. It was up to Jeff to choose. That's how we left it. The only one in my group who seemed to be out of the Jeff competition was me, because everyone assumed that me and Jimmy Green would reignite our young love. With all due respect to Jimmy, Jeff had my eye. There was beer. Thanks to an older brother with a fake ID who could just buy us a cheap 30-pack. We got to the beach by 5. It would be dark in 90 minutes. Just enough time for each of us to have 2 cheap beers, gain some cheap liquid courage, and then paddle past the point. There was a tiny litter of fishermen out there. That was the area that my uncle had been in the previous day. Days, months, years. His life was past the point. My uncle was a major point of conversation today. Jimmy was the only one of the group who'd actually met him. Jimmy was also the first person to show ambivalence about our plans for the night.
Are we sure about this?
Jimmy's question was met with sarcastic boos. He pressed on.
What if,
He didn't finish the question, but we all knew the ending. What if we actually found her? The question was idiotic and unattractive. If we found a body from 20-something years ago, it would be a national story and we'd get into the paper. It would also solve a mystery. This was also extra motivation for me to occasionally glance over at Jeff. His eyes would be lit up in the makeshift fire pit that we all huddled around. Ashley had tried fudging the law of dibs, but we told her that was a mark of treason. She laughed and said that she would try to make a move early. Game on, she told us. It definitely was, because I'm pretty sure me and Jeff just locked eyes. And time stopped. There was 12 of us, 3 canoes, 4 people per canoe. One of the canoes had me, Jimmy, Ashley, and Jeff. It was spring, but by this time of night, you really wouldn't know it. We all had sweatshirts, except for Jeff, who seemed immune to the cold. Jimmy was trying to warm me up by hugging me and holding my hand. Jeff caught wind of this and turned his back to look forward. We were almost past the point, last in line, lagging behind the 2 other canoes that are already stationed around 20 and 30 feet away. The fishermen had all left by now. The canoe shop was closing at 9, so, there's a ticking clock element to the whole proceeding that made everything even more tense. Jeff had a boombox, because, of course he did. The soundtrack for this moment was from a band I'd never even heard of, but Jeff liked it, and it was my favorite band of all time. They had a little grunge soft, tender. It fit the mood. Jeff fit the mood. Ashley was snuggled right up against Jeff. Jimmy was snuggled right up against me. When he touched my back, I wanted to scream. And then there was an actual scream. Tatiana! She was the drama queen. Our hearts nearly fell out of our sophomoric chests. It was quickly followed by loud laughing. It's tough to see what had happened because it was getting dark. Each canoe had one big flashlight. Now, it was safe to say that Tatiana had been pranked. I mean, the specifics would have had to wait until later. Things were getting uncomfortable on my canoe. Jimmy seemed intent on making a move. Ashley seemed intent on making a move. But me and Jeff seemed intent on locking eyes again. I don't know how our eye lock evaded Jimmy and Ashley. I mean, just call it fate. God damn, this song was hitting the spot. And then we heard a bump.
Question: real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right?
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor? Are high-interest credit cards or personal loans weighing you down? Unlock gives homeowners a smarter option. With a home equity agreement, you can tap into your home's equity for cash today, and there are no monthly payments. Here's how it works. Unlock provides funds upfront, and in exchange, shares in a portion of your home's future value. That means you keep control, with the flexibility to use your equity your way. Pay off bills, invest in home improvements, or set aside savings for peace of mind. For thousands of homeowners, Unlock has been the key to moving forward without the pressure of another payment. Put your equity to work for you. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.
The 2026 Lincoln Aviator SUV turns a robust list of features into a world of premium experiences. Excite your drive with impressive horsepower and torque. Customize your comfort with available perfect position seats featuring 30 configurations. Make room for 2 more passengers with powerful third-row seats that can fold flat with the touch of a button. And immerse yourself in the finest expression of design and services with available elevated packages. Experience it for yourself by visiting your local Lincoln retailer.
Time froze. We all turned to each other. You heard that, right? God, Jimmy was so scared. He's so scared. He let go of my hand and stood up with his big flashlight and yelled over to the other canoes. Everyone turned and pointed their flashlights onto Jimmy.
Something just bumped us!
There was a collective shrug from the other groups. He yelled again, louder.
I'm serious! Something just...
But before Jimmy could finish his thought, our canoe just flipped over. It happened so quick. My face smacked against the cold lake water and everything cut to black. I couldn't hear anything. I tried waving my arms and kicking my legs as quickly as I could. It seemed as if I couldn't move. I felt like I was stuck. My heart sunk. Had I been caught in a current? Not only was I not able to get up to the surface, it felt like I was sinking. My foot was caught on something. I tried kicking, but it would not move. And then I realized what it was. My foot wasn't caught on something. It was being held by a hand. This steel grip that had latched onto my right ankle was now dragging me down towards the bottom of the lake. It was so strong. My entire right leg was frozen. As hard and fast as I tried to swim up against it, my body kept sinking further and further towards the bottom until it hit. I was now on the bottom of the lake floor and pitch black. I tried to move my feet, but now both of them were stuck. There was no light above me, no surface to swim back up towards. There was only this. The endless, cold, black. And then I saw those eyes. Those pale blue eyes just moving towards me. Slowly. The body would move in this stilted motion as if it would cut in and out, appearing closer each time it reappeared along the lake floor, until it was right in front of me. There was a simmering scream. I could feel it being dialed up from a 1 all the way to a 10. Now, as Yuki moved closer and closer towards me, the scream ringed louder and louder in my ears. She grabbed my face, and then I popped above the surface, flailing and grasping for air, coughing and choking on my own breath. Someone had had their arms around me and was swimming back towards the canoe until I could feel the cheap wood. Breathe. 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 It was Jeff. He was holding me up against the side of the canoe. My eyes were rapidly opening and shutting. My whole body was vibrating. I heard a mix of voices yelling out for us to come along with it, with splashing and flashlights hitting our hair. I did the only thing that felt right in the moment. I kissed Jeff Panera as hard as I could. When I let go of his lips, he smiled and said, "You're alive." Jimmy and Ashley were frantically reaching up from the water and being helped up into the first canoe. The next one came up for us with a line of hands extended. And then we heard a whistle. A tiny motorboat was nearly on top of us with just one hand extended. My uncle, Stan.
Hop in.
Stan told all of us to meet back at the beach. Me and Jeff got into his tiny motorboat, put a big blanket around me. Jeff tried to warm me up by rubbing my arms with his hands. I was still vibrating. Stan didn't say anything. He just took us to 75 yards or so back to the beach. Once we'd all returned, everyone was talking over themselves, asking the members of my canoe what had happened. Jimmy and Ashley were in hysterics. They exclaimed that something had knocked over our canoe. The boys thought that, we were all full of crap. And the girls were terrified, especially Tatiana. She was in tears. She wanted to go home. Everyone turned towards me and Jeff, waiting for confirmation. Prank? Or real?
Come on, Jeff. Come on, dude. Be honest.
That's how the boys phrased the question. He shook his head softly.
I don't know,
he told them.
Something flipped our boat.
The boys weren't convinced. They still saw the whole thing as a goof. The only person who had not spoken yet was me.
Well?
Tatiana said.
What happened? Did you see something?
I wanted to tell them. To tell them what I had seen. What I felt. Yuki. Her eyes on the bottom of the lake floor. That the stories were true. She was out there, past the point. And then I saw my uncle standing right next to us. This ancient, old man who time had left behind. Someone whose reason for relevance was a story that made him seem crazy. He stared at me, knowing that with just a couple simple words I could give his entire existence meaning. But I didn't want that. I didn't want to be him. I didn't want to be seen as him, as a crazy person who was just an extra in everyone else's life. I wanted a house, a family, children. Would any of that be possible if I told the truth?
Well?
Tatiana said again.
What happened? Did you see something?
I shook my head and said, no. That was nearly 15 years ago. I now have my own family, my own house, A husband who adores me? It's not Jeff. It's not Jamie. It's a boy I met in college. We've had many adventures together, but none of them involve lakes. I told him early on I had a little phobia with bodies of water, so there were certain activities which were off limits. When he asked why, I told him that it was just the thing that stretched back to my childhood. But even that lie was only half the truth. It was more than bodies of water. It was pools. If I closed my eyes and dove into a pool, there was a brief moment of panic where I would wonder if something would grab my ankle and drag me to the bottom. My shower, which used to be a sanctuary, now it will occasionally fill me with dread. I'll close my eyes and there'll be a brief moment where I wonder if a hand will reach up from my shower drain and pull me into the endless bottom of black, where Yuki lives. My house is nearly 500 miles from the point, yet when I close my eyes, there is no distance between us. The further I get away from it, the more I am able to convince myself that it was nothing more than a hallucination. I hoped that there would be a day when I forgot about it altogether. And then, there was that one random Monday night when my sister showed up at my front door.
Have you seen the stars like they used to shine? As I close my eyes, I wish you were still mine. Say that autumn's whisper brings a chill to my soul. I carved our names in shadows, but they don't feel whole. If you and I get too heavy, lean on the ghosts of our past. If you and I get too heavy, know that love's meant to last. Have you worn your heart in a jacket too worn? As I walk these streets, I feel lost and forlorn. Say that memories linger like echoes in time. I keep replaying moments, but they never align. If you and I get too heavy, lean on the ghosts of our past. If you and I get too heavy, know that love's meant to last. In the silence that follows, I hear your breath near. Though the seasons have changed, your spirit stay here. If you and I get too heavy, lean on the ghosts of our past. If you and I get too heavy, know that love's meant to last.
Question: real estate in California. What the Seriously, can someone help? What's an escrow? What's an ARM? What is an REO? What is pre-approval? Can I get pre-approval? Why is inventory so low? Why are interest rates so high? Oh, interest rates not so high? How low is low? How not so high is right?
Before you go down the road of questions, get expert help at championsofhome.com. California Association of Realtors. Who's your realtor? Are you ready to finally make that dream a reality? Maybe it's updating your kitchen, paying down high-interest credit cards, or covering tuition. Your home is more than where you live. It's also your most powerful asset. At Unlock, we make it simple to turn equity into options. With a home equity agreement, you can access cash today without taking on another monthly payment. Imagine the freedom to invest in your home, reduce financial stress, or finally start that big project you've been putting off. It's your home. It's your future. Unlock it today. Visit unlock.com to learn more about a home equity agreement. That's unlock.com to learn more.
Terms and conditions apply. Not all homeowners will qualify. Not available in all states. Actor Portrayal. Home equity agreements are offered by Unlock Home Equity Solutions, Inc. In certain states, NMLS number 2657081. Visit www.consumeraccess.org for more info.